What's up, gamers? Rainy Potato here with the best builds for the Occultist in Darkest Dungeon 2. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every day. The Occultist is a utility damage dealer and meme healer with a pretty diverse kit and 3 distinct paths that provide for a variety of builds utilizing his unique mechanic, Unchecked Power. His strongest build is a ranged DPS nuke path, Warlock. This obliterates his already fragile HP, while giving him range damage and a chance of unchecked power at turn start. For the most part, you're building this path around his big nuke, Burning Stars. While the random unchecked power is nice, I still like Chaotic Offering as an easier way to ensure your nuke is available when you need it. Abyssal Artillery is elite as an AoE back row DPS, especially with this path. Demon's Pole is also elite as a utility move and can also do decent damage with this path. The last skill is rarely used, but I normally want something that can be used when there's no back row to target and I don't want to do offering. You can keep his heal on as an emergency off heal. It's certainly not a primary heal though. Otherwise I'll equip one of his curses, weakening if I want some combo, and Vaughn can deal with pesty dodge while setting up a nuke, either for you or another DPS. Stab can also be an emergency equip if you're in rank 3. Everything else is a joke, especially on this path. Occultist is exclusively a back row hero, rank 4 ideally, as you need to protect his pathetic HP, especially with his random self-burn from offering. He's not a healer, so you want to pair him ideally with Plague Doctor who can remove his random burn as well. You also need a tank to protect him. You have backline damage mostly covered, so any front row DPS is acceptable as a pairing. For trinkets, any further damage is going to scale well because of her high base. HP is also quite important. Stun resist is actually relevant as well because for some reason his offering can stun or daze him. For mastery, stars is your top upgrade, though I usually wait for N2 at the earliest. All his upgrades are strong, however, which makes him pretty mastery hungry. While this hero is scary in basically every fight with his HP, he's absolutely an elite DPS against every lair boss and every act boss because his nuke hits every single position, and most importantly his nuke ignores block, which the act bosses love to generate. If you can protect him, he'll absolutely shred through any challenge you face. Aspirant is his tankier melee base path, getting max HP, a block plus on combat start, and melee damage, with a special boost to Anamnesis, which is still a meme, while nuking his curses. This build has a couple different setups. My preference is a balanced melee and range setup. You obviously run stab as your base attack as it gets the melee boost. You pair this with Chaotic Offering and Burning Stars, because Burning Stars is still elite and this time you have more HP to play with. You add Demon's Pole as great utility, and then round out the kit with Weird Reconstruction as your emergency heal. The meme build is pure melee, running both Sacrificial Stab and Binding Shadows, and Anamnesis, which gets the big boost, though it still sucks. You round off the kit with Pull and Weird, though you rarely can use them. The first build is actually quite solid and can slot in ranks 2 or 3, and you end up with good reach and damage, although Chaotic Offering is still kinda slow and dangerous. Occultist is never a main healer, so obviously he has to be paired with a healer and a tank as well, but otherwise is fairly flexible and is okay with some mobility, though you want him out of ranks 1 and 4 obviously. For trinkets, flat damage is good since he does both ranged and melee. For mastery, stab is a core upgrade, sometimes even in 1. Stars upgrade is important to scale as well. With stars, this build is also quite good against act and lair bosses, able to deliver both melee and range damage with incredible range. The meme build, Anamnesis, however, is not good at all. An AoE so-called nuke is just not going to be relevant in most fights in the game, and requires a lot of work to get the bleed relevant. The only boss it works against is Act 1, and literally everything beats Act 1. It's also quite mastery hungry, as you need Anamnesis and Binding Shadows mastered early. Only plus side is he's much more adaptable to mobile comps. The final build is his curse path, Ritualist. He gets a buff to debuff application chance, a boost to his heal, it still sucks, and using one of his 2 curse skills has a chance to give him a random positive token, while he has a 33% chance of self-vuln every turn. Obviously, this is the curse path, so you use both of his curse skills, Weakening Curse and Vulnerability Hex. The last 3 slots can change depending on what you want to do. It's about what damage you want to take advantage of with your token generation. You can slap on Chaotic Offering and Burning Stars for the biggest nuke, though this takes 2 slots and slows you down from actually executing your curses. If you make a rank 3 build, you can use Sack Stab and pair it with Pull and Abyssal Artillery for the widest array of damage, and this would be my pick. Weird Reconstruction does get a boost, so you can sub that in there, probably for Stab, but it's still weird. Some people use Malediction and Chaotic Offering here, but I find Malediction just garbage and underwhelming at best for any build. This is a super flexible build, being usable anywhere ranks 2 through 4, though with the self-Vuln you need to be careful up front, and super adaptable to whatever style of offense you want to run. You obviously build around your curses, one of which is a combo generator and the other of which sets up your big DPS. I still find debuffs a little clunky to set up and would rather focus on damage for the most part, especially since I find Weakening Curse a little underwhelming in most cases. Despite the healing boost, he's still not a primary healer, so you still want that in your team comp, and ideally a guard tank, Man-at-Arms, to protect your Vuln. Otherwise, the flexibility is great, though obviously you focus on pure DPS for the rest of your team. Ideally, combo eaters and your big nukers like Hellion, Leper, Hireman, and Finale Jester. For trinkets, the Holy Grails are your unique trinket that turns Vuln into unchecked power, Seeing Sphere. Footman's Grog, the General's unique trophy, is also good, turning your Vuln into block. Any other sort of block generation or HP you can get on him is good to counteract this one downside. For mastery, obviously your curses are your first upgrades, though usually not necessary until N2 or later. For most scenarios, I'll put up Vuln Hex first, giving you double Vuln, but in Act 2, where Occultists gain crit with Altar, and Act 5, where Ordainment adds crit, I'll put up Weakening Curse first to strip that crit. This hero scales pretty well into lair and act bosses, since his kit is all about setting up the big swings, and these are the fights you have time to do so. I especially like him against Librarian Act 4 boss, where he can eat up dodge tokens with Vuln Hex. However, I still find Ritualist to be weak just because of my dislike for debuffers. It requires a much more precise setup than a meta team of straight damage. Overall, the Occultist has a very interesting kit with 3 distinct playstyles, but Chaotic Offering having such downside is a pretty limiting factor on his game. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every day. And become a YouTube member or join my Patreon for early access to my upcoming videos.